pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yes. I'd like to thank everyone for coming out this evening. I will call this meeting to order. Our first order of business is public announcements. Non-essential town services will be closed on Monday, October 8th, in observance of Columbus Day holiday. Number 2, absentee voting is October 9th through November 1st. Details may be found at the town's website. Number 3, 2019 dog licensing tags will be available at the town office on October 16th. Current 2018 dog licenses expire on December 31st. Number 4, the annual household hazardous waste and unwanted medication collection will take place on Saturday, October 20th, from 8:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. at the Public Works Garage in Winslow. Residents of Fairfield must pre-register to participate at the town office. Number 5, Lawrence Public Library will be hosting their annual Halloween event at 33 Lawrence Avenue on Thursday, October 25th, from 6 to 8 p.m. All right, our second order of business is public hearings. First public hearing to hear from the public on a proposed revision to the Land Use Ordinance 9.20 Adult Use Marijuana Business, MRSA Title 28B. If there is anyone from the public that wishes to speak at this time, please go up to the podium, announce your name, make sure you print and write your name on the sign-in sheet, and you will have a maximum of 3 minutes for any comments. Is there anyone from the public at this time that wishes to get up and speak? Oh. Okay.
All right. Good evening. My name is Paul T. McCarrier. I'm with Legalize Maine. I also operate a medicinal storefront in Belfast, Maine. I do a series of consulting works with people in the medical cannabis industry who are looking to get in the adult use industry across the state, specifically dealing with municipalities and municipal issues such as the one in the ordinance you're facing a discussion about today. The focus I want to have today at my 3 minutes is that marijuana is legalized now in the state of Maine, and it is, I'm sure as everybody knows, it's already everywhere. It's already here. And so what an ordinance does, in my opinion, is it gives the municipality a chance to put a strict guidelines and tighter controls on where it can occur, and then what is going to be the bar that a business has to meet to be able to operate in your municipality. So that's why I think this ordinance is a really good ordinance, because it talks about licensing, it talks about where it can be located, and it really keeps ahead of the game as opposed to waiting for the state to be able to do something and react. And one of the things that we have seen in other municipalities is that we're running into issues where people are looking to jump the gun and set up facilities in different places, and they're talking about the idea that they're going to be grandfathered in of where they're operating. And so from my perspective, it's always a safer bet to have an ordinance in place and stay ahead of that, as opposed to having to pass an ordinance after the fact and deal with someone who's already established, who's already in an area, who could potentially try to bring some sort of civil action or anything along those lines. I think, as it was said earlier by somebody, is that if you banned all the bars in an area, it doesn't necessarily mean that people are going to stop drinking as a group. It just means that they'll start doing it in an unregulated area and start doing it in possibly a residential area. So I think this ordinance is a great step forward to give Fairfield the control that it needs when it comes down to adult use cannabis in the state of Maine. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Sir?
Hi, My name is John Jarvis, and I think that the ordinance is important, exactly like he said. I mean, it lets you guys get ahead of it and regulate where things can happen, and it gives you the power to really have people be transparent, which is the whole point of regulating recreational marijuana, is to actually be transparent and to allow regulation to take shape. I mean, I don't think that, you know, the way that things are going right now, which is the storefronts popping up all over the place, it would be better if there was some direction. And I feel like if an ordinance is put forth, then there'll be direction, so that the people that want to be in this industry and want to be transparent will be able to follow the direction. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, and may it please the council. I'm Joshua Tardy. I'm a lobbyist. I'm here, when I lobby in Augusta, I lobby for many different interests, but tonight I'm here on behalf of my client, Mark Crockett, and his related entities. Mr. Crockett is a person who's been in the medical marijuana business and has an interest here in seeing Fairfield become a proactive leader and controlling, if to the extent that you can control this now legalized product. And so I'm just here because he can't be. And you know, I think Mr. Crockett and myself personally, we recognize that this is a very thoughtfully laid out ordinance that takes into account various public interests. It's sensible. To Mr. McCary and the other speakers' points, it addresses licensing, it addresses location, and it addresses accountability. And so there are big debates about this particular issue, and these debates are going to wage on beyond tonight. But this is a proactive, leadership-based approach, and we appreciate it. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else from the public wish to?
Jeff Neubauer from Shawman. I would love to ask a question instead of making a comment, if that's all right. My question really stems from why push the bill forward through, or the ordinance forward through this action instead of a town vote? Because both of them are viable options to move the town forward, but I'm just wondering why the council is trying to go about it through the ordinance change rather than waiting until June.
Shall you have anything on that, or would you like me to take that one?
The charter addresses the fact that ordinance changes are addressed by the town council. Putting it out as a referendum question or a town meeting vote didn't come up, simply because of the fact that town meeting now, as per the charter, only deals with the town's annual operating budget and not any other business. So there has not been a conversation amongst the council to do anything with putting it out for a referendum.
Okay.
Does that answer your question, sir?
No. Town vote. Should be a town vote. Town vote. Should be a town vote, period. It's a pretty bad joke.
Hi, I'm Danielle Booten. I'm actually a resident that lives roughly 250 yards down the road from the business, and I actually have no issue with the marijuana business itself. I have an issue with the fact that it's a huge safety concern for me. I have children that live and go to school, and they get on and off the bus there. We live If you don't travel the road, it goes from 35 to 55 right there. Literally maybe 100 feet from the business. It's a very precarious area in the road. Sorry. Anyway, I understand that the establishment there was a business and a junkyard to a medical marijuana dispensary / potentially a recreational marijuana dispensary are two different things in my eyes. Because the traffic in and out will be different, I think it's potentially going to be a high traffic business there. Our road that we live on is a dangerous road. There have been many deaths out on the Norwich Walk Road. And with this, I feel like there'll be a new level of distracted driving and impaired driving. I sit there every morning and every afternoon and get my kids on and off the bus. I watch people speed by who are going way more than 55 miles an hour. I just wish there was a little bit more thought process put into this, but in saying that, I really have no issue with the ordinance changes, just a little bit more research done into this, especially in that area. Give you examples, I watch people blow by weekly through the stop buses, weekly. And they stop 10 times a week in front of my house. I've watched buses get passed on the right side of the bus. So that's where I'm coming from. I would like to ask the council if you could put a 6-month moratorium on this to do a traffic study. I understand that the road is state-owned, but if you find something, maybe we need to petition to the state looking at changing the 35-mile-an-hour zone, bringing it up if this business is going to happen right there, or to look at changing the 55-mile-an-hour zone to 45 right there. Just like I said, as a safety concern. My kids are the only ones that get on and off the bus there for elementary. I do know there's one high school stop in between like Big Apple and that business. So, thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else from the public that wishes to speak at this time?
Good evening, my name is Robert Cezak, resident of Fairfield, and I want to speak in support of the ordinance. I believe it allows the council and the people of the town of Fairfield to control the situation rather than being controlled by it. That's a fairly strong ordinance. The rates that are in there ensure that only the mature and solid citizen will start a business. I've been basically reiterating what I had said last time. I stand by that. And I'll remind you that I was a no voter when the referendum was before us. The substance is legal now. I thought that the referendum that was before us was a bad referendum. I think this ordinance helps protect the town and the people. Instead of getting businesses in that would be grandfathered and cause a possible issue, our ordinance will be able to help to control any of the issues that might come up. And we can also amend the ordinance as need be in the future. So, thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Pete Lawrence from Fairfield. I'm looking this ordinance over. I don't see any information about federal recognized establishments. Fairfield has many. We have the Legion, the VFW, and all nationals associated historical sites within Fairfield. So there's nothing mentions that in here, so. And also too, we have a manor on Skowhegan Road that houses children, mentally incapable children and adults. So we have nothing in this ordinance about that too. So.
Anyone else from the public that wishes to speak at this time?
Is it gonna do us any good?
My name's Ben Hapworth. I live on the Norwich Walk Road in Fairfield Center, right between the two pot houses, or whatever you want to call them. I'm worried about my children. This is a children's drug of choice. I don't know if there's any facts on that, but as far as I've seen, that's what it is. It's the first thing they go to. I don't care. I do everything I can to keep my kids away from drugs. And when I have to walk out of my dooryard and my whole yard smells of drugs, pot, I'm not gonna give it the benefit of the doubt to call it cannabis. It's still pot. I can't have it. I bought that house, I'm a tax-paying Fairfield citizen, and I'm not gonna have it. It's so hard to deal with kids with these things as it sits, but to have all this flaunting going on of it just makes it that much worse. I don't know how we can keep this going. It's getting ridiculous. I mean, oh God, I just lost it. I'm not usually very good at these speeches here, but I'm worried about my kids. You don't hear much talk about the children. This town houses the district's high school, for crying out loud. And we're supposed to make it a pot-raving town now? It needs to go somewhere else. Thank you.
Is there anyone else from the public that wishes to speak at this time? Seeing none? Declare that public hearing closed. Number 2, to hear from the public on a proposed revision of the Fire Protection and Prevention Ordinance. Declare this public hearing open. Is there anyone from the public that wishes to speak on this public hearing? Seeing none. Declare that public hearing closed. Good job. Our third public hearing to hear from the public on proposed revisions to the General Assistance Ordinance. Is there anyone from the public that wishes to speak at this time? Seeing none. Declare that public hearing closed. Our third order of business is public comments. Again, limited to 3 minutes. Members of the public may speak to the council on any item or reserve the right to speak on a specific item on the meeting agenda when that item is addressed. Is there anyone from the public that wishes to speak on a particular item in this agenda or in anything in general? Sure. Please make sure you sign in, please.
Actually, he doesn't need to, it's not a public hearing.
Oh, okay.
You're all set, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'm Wayne Gamage. I own the business up on Route 201. the Skowhegan Road, Route 382, the Fairfield Antique Mall. I'm here today to ask the council to abolish the code enforcement officer's position. It seems that she does a lot of work and the council doesn't back her up. So if she's just gonna be a figurehead, then I, as a taxpayer in this town, don't wanna pay for her wages. If you're just gonna keep tabling stuff that she brings up, then I live next to the place that, I mean, I have the business next to the place that the fire chief says it isn't a matter of if it's gonna burn, it's when it's gonna burn. So every day when I get up and go to work, I wonder if my business is still there or if it's blazed. I don't know. And it seems that the council refuses to do anything about it. You've been brought information back in last November, and it's been 10 months, and all it has got worse. So if we're not gonna do anything about these ordinances, let's get rid of them, let's get rid of the code enforcement lady, and we won't have to worry about it. It'll save that town that much more money. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name's John Jobber, and I am part of the marijuana thing, but more importantly, I've worked in all these towns, Waterville, Winslow, Oakland, Fairfield, and I just want to tell you, the code enforcement officer and the chief have been unbelievable. They've been hard asses, and they've made me do a lot of things over again. But of the city you have and the people you have in those positions are very good people, they're very hardworking, and they have one interest and one interest only, for the safety of the people who are going into these buildings after we built them, and they will not cut anything. They will do everything right to the nth degree, and they've made me pull stuff out, redo things. So I just want to speak up in support of them.
Is there anyone else from the public that wishes to speak or reserve the right? Seeing none. Moving on to our fourth order of business, reports from staff and committees, the town manager's report.
So on September 13th, I attended the open house barbecue that KRGA First Park hosted for member communities, municipal officials to get reacquainted with the park and to do a tour and hear about the new activities that were happening there. That was a good event. Also, on the 20th, there was an executive board meeting at First Park that I went to. This week, the Public Works Director and I have met with representatives from CMP regarding the streetlight billing problem that we had that we'd mentioned before in the past. We have already received a credit for a 6-month refund, and CMP is working on going back even further, and we'll update you as that goes forward. Yesterday, I was able to be fortunate enough to have a sit-down introductory meeting with our newest reporter from the Morning Sentinel, Matt Yunker, who is here this evening in the back. So if you hadn't had a chance to meet with him, so that was really good. This morning, there was an SEDC board meeting. We met with Doug Hurling, CMP's president and CEO, did a presentation on the Quebec Hydro project that they're working on, plus some regular business that the county's doing. And today I was able to attend the Sappy Mills celebration completion event of their $200 million capital investment that they've done here. We were able to tour the facility and witness the upgrades of the #1 paper machine and actually see it producing the paper board that they're now going to be marketing. So it's definitely a huge step forward for the Sappy Mill as well as our region, and hopefully they'll continue to make sure that their 800 plus employees stay employed for a good long time. So that's it for me.
We don't have any committee reports for,
No.
Okay, our fifth order of business. To waive the reading of and accept the minutes as printed or amended for meeting number 2018-15 held on September 12th, 2018.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed, abstained. 401.
Thank you.
Our sixth order of business, treasurer's warrant. To approve the treasurer's warrant number 19 in the amount of $230,984.50.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Carries. Our seventh order of business, to take action on the following items of business. Item number 18-68, order that the town council hereby adopt the land use ordinance 9.20 adult use marijuana business, MRSA Title 28-B, as amended.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
I would say that I'm glad that we've heard from so many people. I'm going to say I'm going to be voting in favor of this ordinance, and I think the reasoning behind that is, while it is tempting to try and put this genie back in the bottle, we as a single municipality cannot do that. That would be up to the people of Maine. And I think that we need to use the tools that we have available to us to regulate this before we have a very serious problem with an unregulated industry on our hands. And so I'm in favor of this ordinance.
I think the major reason for this ordinance going into place is the fact that without this, the dog has no bite. We have no control over things without this ordinance being in place. For those that think that marijuana is not in this town, that it's going to promote people to start using it, I believe that they're gravely mistaken. Those that want to use it are already using it. But with this ordinance, we have the bite to control it. We can shut these places down if they violate this ordinance. So it gives us an opportunity to control things. Beverly?
Also, I wanted to make perfectly clear that 8 years ago, before this became legal, that I was against any kind of medical marijuana facilities. However, I am in the same boat as Mr. Sazak. I've changed my mind, and I am in favor of this happening. And I think that we can keep a close eye on that. And as Chairman Taylor said, that if somebody breaks the rules, then they'll have to face consequences or be fined or be shut down. So that's my stand on that as well.
So, I kind of feel the same way. It's one thing if we were somehow able to throw everyone out who was already here, but we can't. And unfortunately, we're sandwiched between Waterville and Augusta, and you've got Bangor. We already know they're probably going to be doing something similar. If not, I can let you know that there's plenty of businesses there doing the same thing as the businesses that are here are doing. We're trying to get ahead of it so that we can actually police the marijuana stores, dispensaries, whatever you're going to call them, within our town. And we're trying to make it so that it's beneficial for Fairfield, because in addition to the people coming in to buy the marijuana, we're getting licensing fees, we're getting peace of mind that if they do something wrong, if they sell it to a kid, we're gonna catch them, and then it's done. They're shut down.
The children.
You have no kids.
Hey.
We already sell cigarettes, we already sell alcohol.
It is regulated.
Both of those things are regulated, both of those things kill people every single day. What makes this any different? It's legal in the state. I would rather see it be regulated within our town because that would make me feel safer than just letting it go unregulated.
Just briefly, I'd like to see probably a little bit of a tougher regulation come in, and I'd also like to see our regulations also pertain to the medical marijuana as well as the adult usage marijuana. I think there's more steps that we can take and maybe go a little bit further, so that's just my opinion on this particular one. So.
I think later on, should amendments be required, I mean, we are in a position to amend these ordinances.
I'd welcome amendments. I just think that we need to get some sort of backbone out there before we do have issues with things trying to get grandfathered in.
Absolutely. Anyone else have anything else? Okay. No. Questions, comments, concerns? No? Okay. No further discussion. All those in favor of the ordinance? Opposed?
Yay, John.
Yay, John.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
I don't know why they have.
Hey.
it here.
4-1. Item number 18-69, order to town council hereby adopt and update the town of Fairfield Town Council Administrative Policies
They can't regulate what they've
Addendum
got
A.
for crying out loud.
All right, starting again after the short interruption. Item number 18-69, order that the town council hereby adopts an update to the Town of Fairfield Town Council Administrative Policies Addendum A fee schedule to include land use ordinance 9.20 adult use marijuana business, MRSA Title 28B. Going down through here.
One by one.
You can adopt the whole block if you would like.
Adopt the whole block or one
Adopt the
by
block
one?
as written.
So moved.
Second.
Second. Motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
I do want to note that we actually had a comment on this issue at our last meeting, so I wanted to point out that we are very clearly stating these are annual fees. So the fee is actually designed to help the town recover the cost year to year, not just on a one-time basis. And these fees can be adjusted as is necessary for the town in the future. We regularly adjust fees to make sure that we are not losing money regulating things. I think people will probably recognize very recently, in fact, we revisited cemetery fees. We regularly revisit usage fees for various things. And these are annual fees. We are not talking about a one-time, do whatever you want fee. This is something that will be ongoing and will hopefully, as we learn more about this, be responsive to the town's needs. The minimum fee is $1,500, and depending on the type of business, goes up to $4,500 annually. So these are substantial fees designed to recover the costs of regulation.
Any other comments?
No.
Yeah, I'll just say, based upon the vote from the last section, I'll be voting for this.
Okay. All right. All those in favor? Motion carries. Item number 18-70, order that the town council hereby adopts the fire protection and prevention ordinance as amended.
So move.
Second. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
Maybe pause so I can clear the hall.
Yeah, that would be a good idea. Thank you very much.
Tom's gonna take
Let
care of it.
let the chief do it.
Yeah, it's time to move along.
We'll let the chief do it, it'll be easier.
It's a little
Well,
bit,
if they can,
little bit, well, they might balk her, but they ain't gonna balk him.
they can go down to the other end of the building, that's fine too.
Yeah.
It's just the noise.
Thank you.
Okay.
I believe we were going with all those in favor.
Yes.
That was
Okay.
true.
And it looks like motion carries. Item 16-71, order that the town council hereby adopts the general assistance ordinance as amended.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Motion carries. Item 16-72, order that town council hereby signs and approves a certificate of commitment in the amount of $129,743.20 for the first quarter fiscal year sewer billing for a period of 7/1/2018 to 9/30/2018.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Motion carries. Item 16-73, order that the town council hereby ordered that the, order the town council hereby ordered the town, yeah, here we go. Hereby adopts an upgrade to the Town of Fairfield Town Council Administrative Policies, Addendum A, fee schedule to include PEG Access TV, Crossroads TV fees as follows.
All or
Yes.
one by one?
I'll move the item as written. I figure if
Second.
we did that for the last one, we could do it for
Okay.
this
I'll
one.
second that.
Okay.
Okay,
That's how it was written.
Yeah.
as written.
I'm just saying, there's another example of us adjusting fees as necessary to suit the town's needs. So if anyone is concerned that we don't actually do that, we do.
Yeah.
Okay. All those in favor? Motion carries. Item 16-74, order that the town council hereby appropriates up to $31,720 from the police capital reserve account for the purchase and outfitting of one new police cruiser.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Trade-in, moving, that was what we were doing with that?
So we've looked at a trade-in, and we've gotten a price for a trade-in. The difference is that we found an issue, if you remember correctly, the fire chief's vehicle, we weren't sure how much longer we were going to get through with that. And there's some recent mechanical issues. Well, actually, I think the rocker panels are bad. So what we're looking at doing is, instead of the cost, what we would get from a cost from the trade-in, that trade-in value would be paid for by the fire department, so we'll swap the vehicle and move that around within the two departments, so.
Will that work?
So the chief's vehicle will then go up for,
Yes, if it's safe enough, would go up for bid so that it would be sold.
And if not, it'll go to the dump yard.
Right.
Okay.
It goes to the crushers, and we
Scrap
get
yard.
$100 or so out of the metal recycling if it's
Okay.
not safe.
So I would note from the memo that we received regarding this purchase that it appears that there would be a potential that if we don't make this purchase, that we're going to be forced into purchasing essentially untested equipment for our
Yes.
police department.
That is correct. That was the other reason for this. So
Yep.
we had, the chief and I had discussed, and he could explain it better if you needed him to, but we had had this discussion about possibly waiting this year and not purchasing a cruiser and doing it next year. But because of the changes that Ford is making with these vehicles, we felt that, the chief felt that it would be more prudent to actually purchase it now. It's one that Quirk already has and was on the lot and that we would be able to get, as opposed to going with the newer pieces. We're unclear as to how anything's even going to fit in the newer vehicles, but we're relatively certain that it's not going to fit the way that it does right now.
Yeah, basically that was the answer in a nutshell. Although the outfitters are telling us that there are kits available for the equipment that we have now that will fit in these new vehicles. The issue is this was going to be a skip year, a year that we didn't purchase a vehicle, and next year we were going to start the rotation again. However, Ford is ending production of the 19 model early so that they can retool for the 2000 model or the 2020 model, which is going to be a bigger vehicle, more excursion size, and it's going to be a more efficient vehicle, they claim. So there's going to be a lot of changes to it. It's supposed to be quite a bit larger. So it may not be as easy for us to get a vehicle next year, and if we can't get one next year and we don't get one this year, then we're going to be, way behind on the rotation as far as purchases go.
Chief, you may have heard me make this pitch to other department heads who come to us with expenditures that we didn't necessarily expect in a year. Can we expect then that we will have a skip year this coming year if we purchase now?
That is the plan now, is to utilize next year as a skip year for two reasons. One, I don't think we're going to be able to get our hands on a vehicle because the 19s need to be ordered by tomorrow. And they're only going to produce as many as they can produce in that line. So if there are some that they can't get to, we're definitely going to be one of those. In the 20s, they're not going to start accepting orders on those until late July of 2019. So that would be, that whole next year, we'd probably have a tough time getting a vehicle.
Yep.
So yeah, next year is probably going to be a skip year, and it doesn't bother me at all because the first year, model year coming out, they're going to work all the kinks out of that, hopefully the first year. The two 2013s that we had have been high maintenance, I think, because they were new. Yes, to answer your question, next year will probably be a skip year, will probably definitely be a skip year.
Okay. Well, I'll give the same fair warning they have for other department heads. When we get the proposed budgets, I will look for the appropriate offset in there.
Absolutely. That's a discussion that we had is that next year would definitely, there's no plan for us to put in for another vehicle.
Thank you.
So if we can remember back, last year was actually a skip year for us as well. We had that same piece that had happened.
Yep.
And we did actually skip in last year's budget that we did not purchase one. We actually were planning originally when we went through the budget process to purchase one for this year, but had thought better of it, thinking that we could put it off further. But I think that you'll definitely see that will not be in our plans for next year. So.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
I did note that he did cover himself. He says, probably will not.
Probably will not, that's right.
Probably
He did
definitely.
Probably definitely.
Probably, definitely. Yeah, sometimes you just don't know. It's an important tool for them to be able to do their job.
Have they considered bicycles?
Motorbikes.
Horses.
Horses. Yeah.
Chief, you're turning your back on us. We're coming up with great ideas.
I did not turn my back.
All right, deaf ear. Okay. All right, so, any other discussion?
No.
Seeing none, all those in favor? Motion carries. Okay, our eighth order of business, council workshop and other business, to discuss the Oakland Road property. Yes, we have property on the Oakland Road.
Yes. So at your last meeting, you requested some information. We had heard that possibly the Grange was interested in acquiring this piece of property that's between the Grange and the Center Fire Station so that they could in turn take on the responsibility of turning it into a parking lot. So as soon, Thursday, after your last meeting, the chair of the Grange came to see me. He was under the impression that the municipality had already given the property to the Grange. He was actually stopping by to pick up a copy of the quitclaim, so. I explained to him about the fact that the town had currently applied for Brownfield's grant, so to do the site assessment regarding the demolition, and that KV-COG did not have Brownfield's funding last year, so that was one of the reasons why nothing was ever done. In that if he was interested in, if the Grange was interested in acquiring the property, that you'd be discussing it here at this meeting, and that if he could send me something quickly in writing as to what their intent was. Excuse me, knowing that the council had gone through all of this with TD Bank to acquire the property for the parking lot purposes, and hoping that they would state that that's what they wanted to do with it. And as you can see by the email that I had received on the 14th of September that I sent to you, that the Grange has had a meeting, and that they do feel that they will leave things the way that they are, and that they will let the town do what the town is currently doing. And that if they can support us and help us in any way, that they would. I did receive word just this afternoon, actually. The federal process with a Brownfields grant, they don't start reviewing applications until October 1st, but they are in receipt of our application and hope that shortly thereafter we will hear something regarding whether or not we receive the funds for the site assessment.
Excellent.
Okay. Other council business. Beverly?
Actually, yes. I wanted to touch on something that was said at the public thing, about the traffic on 139 from, I have been doing this from the beginning of my term here on the town council, and I had Michelle contact the Department of Transportation, and they had come up, and we had all, most of us, attended. They had put up little things that would monitor the speed and whatnot to see if they were going to change the speed, how many fatalities had been on that road, and they're not really willing right now to do anything about that. So just so everybody out there in TV land knows, I did try to get the speed limit changed on that road. And I still got a year and a half to do it. So anyways, that's what I wanted to touch upon, because I'm not sure that everybody out there realized that this has already been done. And the state pretty much tells us, if it's the state-owned road, that, you know, it is what it is, unless we want to spend the taxpayers' money here in Fairfield to do something more, like, you know, change the speed limit, more patrols, anything that's going to cost Fairfield more money. So we need to be mindful of that's not going to be changed anytime soon.
If I'm not mistaken, I don't think that with any amount of money we spend, unless it's blunt force bribery to the DOT, we can change any speed limits.
Speed limits are set by an engineer, so you have to have a traffic engineer, and DOT provides that traffic engineer, not only for state roads, but also for municipal roads.
And they came out.
That's what I was meaning.
And they were there,
They
and
came
that, actually, I believe at the time when we did the radar trailer over there, the average rate of speed was somewhere in the 40-mile-an-hour range.
And the maximum was 99.
So there are those that speed, there will always be those that speed, but the average rate of speed in that area was within the normal thresholds of what
But
the
they
speed
mentioned a very
limit
low
is.
mortality rate on that road as well.
Yeah.
In that particular section,
That's correct.
yes. The outer sections,
Are different.
Are
all
different.
much,
I
much
know,
different.
I know. But this is what we were told.
That
and
junction
In
area.
that particular traffic.
That's
Right.
correct.
Yes.
And they were not willing to do anything
At this time.
at this time.
The one thing that bothered me though is, when these people were talking, was the aspect that, I get the impression that there are cars that are running, the school buses, running past the stop signs, stop outs on the school buses, and I think that we need to tighten that one up.
I haven't seen it, but I don't.
But I mean, if it's
don't know.
happening, we need to take license numbers down, the drivers have to become more aware.
Yes.
Sometimes maybe during specific times, a little bit more, police out there, that type of thing,
Yeah.
because that is very, very
It
dangerous.
is, but personally, like I said, I have not seen that, so I can't say whether that's true or not. I haven't witnessed
Right.
that
Right, but the parents,
yet.
No, I have.
But, I mean, myself,
Oh,
I
okay,
haven't
I
yet.
have witnessed it out there.
I'm on the road quite a bit, and I always make sure I stop, but I personally haven't seen it.
Yeah,
But I'm
that's a-
sure it does happen.
Not in that section,
No.
but further out,
Yeah,
139.
probably,
Yes.
probably. I'm sure it is, it is happening, but I haven't personally witnessed it, no.
Is that anything that we could maybe convince the police chief to station someone out there once in a while to check on it?
He might want to adjust that one. Sure.
You can.
Yes, it is definitely an issue. And it was complained about quite a bit last year, and we actually had some patrols out there last year. We'll get more patrols out there. 2 or 3 of the day shift officers hit the school zones pretty hard, and we'll move them over and start them following buses when they can in the morning.
Good.
To see if we can get some violations, but there were quite a few, and it's not just this group that was in here, there were people all up and down 139 last year that were complaining about school bus passings, so we know it's an issue, they had been working on it last year, we'll get back on it again this year.
Good, thank you.
Thanks, Chief, appreciate it.
Maybe someday we can set some cameras up in different areas to take pictures of license plates.
Yeah, that would be a good thing.
Yeah.
Be careful of that one.
Is that one of those slippery slopes?
A little
Uh-huh.
bit, just a little bit.
A and B, I've known quite a few people who've gotten violations in the mail that they had no way of being in that place. They just arbitrarily got a violation because most of those systems that I've seen in the past, they don't have a go-between. It's the camera snaps a picture and then it talks to a computer that just sends the letter somehow. I don't know that end of it. So there's not a police officer that goes, yes, that's who's in the picture. Or this actually happened.
All set, Beverly?
Yes, I'm all set, thank you.
Courtney, do you have anything for discussion?
I'm all set, thank you.
I'm all set unless we want to let her give a quick address on what we're doing there, or talk about it anyway.
I will just quickly let the audience know that it was brought up about the 201 property that there was concerns about from the Antiques Mall. The council is working on that. We are trying to have as many options presented to us by legal counsel as that there are available. Our hands are tied to some degree as far as the legal aspects go, but we're looking at every avenue at this point, so it's not a dead issue. We are working on it. Our code enforcement officer is doing a fantastic job, and yes, we do have her back on this. It's a slow process. These things do not happen overnight. The last time we went through this, we were a year or more.
It's more than a year.
Almost 2 years?
Almost 2 years.
Almost 2 years to get a result. So people that want, they're looking for instant gratification on this issue, it's not going to happen. It's a long, arduous process, but the council is working on it.
Yep.
Anything else, sir?
That was my say.
That was your say. Well said. And I would just like to reiterate on tonight's vote, it is about giving this dog some bite in what happens in our town. To let this go unchecked would be, rather foolish on our part. We have the opportunity to step up and be proactive rather than to be reactive. And, you know, we would not be doing our job if we let this go unchecked. And this was a perfect opportunity for us to be able to do something about it, to have control over it. And if these facilities do not uphold to these ordinances, we can shut them down.
Yep.
The police presence will be there. We can shut these people down and make them pull their license. It goes away. I mean, as it stands right now, there isn't a lot we can do with the medical until amendments are possibly made or changed in the laws. But we will get there. We want to make sure that this town is safe. And to think that it's not happening in this town right now because we don't have retail marijuana, I think that's kind of a burying your head in the sand aspect of things.
Absolutely.
People are doing it. You can find it pretty near anywhere you want to go. It's not that closeted of a drug.
Nope.
So I just want to make sure that the town has every opportunity to be able to control this in our town as possible.
Yeah, actually, from a standpoint, though, the state laws are not gonna kick in until February, so consequently, it's from now through then. Period, anyway. There is time to make some corrections and stuff like that, which I guess is what I was trying to,
Yes.
to point out in that, but, it is what it is.
So, with that, the next regular meeting of the Fairfield Town Council will be on Wednesday, October 10th, 2018. And at this time, we will recess to sign all documents that require signatures. Do we have a motion?
Recess.
A motion to recess. Do we have a
So
second?
moved. Second, third.
We're in recess.
7.
I will.